The other little piece of news that came out today, I saw this everywhere. Saw it on BR Open Ice. Apparently, they mentioned it on 32 Thoughts. I didn't listen that far. I had to, come here, do this show. So Ryan Johansen was waived, at least in part, because of hard feelings with his agent, Kurt Overhart, who also happens to represent William the Quitter Gauthier. And also because of history with Tortorella, that obviously played a part, at least some. What I will say about this is I am fine with doing this selectively. Like, if it's a guy you don't want anyway, you can tell that agent to fuck right off. But, like, say Leon Draisaitl's his contract expires and he's represented. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm just using this as an example.
There's not that many agents.
Because I can't imagine there's a ton.
No.
But I just think of, like, the Phillies for a while kind of avoided Scott Boras guys because of all the shit that played out with J.D. Drew in the late 90s. And then everyone was represented by Scott Boras. So it's like, well, we have to do business with this guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, I have no idea whether Kurt Overhart is one of the most powerful agents or he's just some dude. If that's what this is, I do love the spite. Go fuck yourself, guy. But like, if this gets in the way of actual business down the line,
that's the thing.
That's concerning. But I do love the spite. I gotta say,
I am inclined to also love spite. But we talked about this a little bit at the deadline show. I kind of asked you, like, if this is John Tortorella saying, nah, I don't like this guy, I'm never going to play him, send him to Lehigh. Like, are we okay with that? And I guess in this case, it doesn't matter because Ryan Johansen isn't good. So, like, it doesn't really matter. But, like, I don't love the idea. This Torts' guys thing. And it kind of plays in. It gets to Wade Allison. It's getting to Bobby Brink a little bit. Like, this whole Torts' guys thing, I feel like 90% of the time it's fine. It's like, all right, he doesn't like a guy, whatever, it doesn't matter. He really likes a guy, Cam Atkinson. He's always going to play him, whatever. But I feel like 10% of the time, this whole Torts' guys thing is going to be a problem. And I worry that, like, this kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe Ryan Johansen stinks. Flyers don't have any centers. Like, maybe you throw him out there and see what happens.
You would think.
I mean, there could be other things going on. I don't know. But then also with this agent thing, like you said, like, it doesn't matter now. But, like, hockey's like one of those worlds where, like, everything is so
small world, man.
Small world. Everything is super insular. Guys hold grudges, like, people remember shit. Like, it's just like, do we want to, like...
I'm pretty sure the Fedotov situation is a direct result of Bobby Clark breaking someone's ankle in, like, 1972. 1972.
Don't get me started. I believe that to be true. 100%.
I have no way to prove this, but I believe it to be true.
You can't convince me otherwise.
What I'll say, like... Torts' job in this rebuild is to identify who has it and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And if this was some guy who he'd had no dealings with before, like, this is not the first team to give up. Like, this is not some highly thought of everyone loves. The Kevin Hayes thing is like, really? Everyone loves this guy.
Yeah.
Ryan Johansen, we heard Adrian Dater, we saw him tweet that day, who covers Colorado, like, oh yeah, the locker room turned on him. They had to get rid of him. Everyone who's a Colorado fan oh yeah, like, he has 13 goals, I think 23 points. Can't keep up, too slow. Yeah. Not good enough. Yeah. Stinks. These are things you're hearing about him.
Right.
Nashville retained 50% to send him to Colorado. Colorado dumped him and gave us a first-round pick so they could make room for Casey Middlestat to replace him in the lineup. Yeah. He was 10 more points than him this season. Like, maybe he's just not good. Like, that's the other part of this. And we don't know who we're hearing this from. Danny Briere wouldn't tell us. No. Like, wouldn't tell the media. So something tells me this shit is coming from Johansen's side.
That's fair, yeah.
And, of course, they're going to make it about the agent. They're going to make it about Torts because the agent is going to be like, oh, my player doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
He's not that good. Like, that's probably part of it, Like,
that's a very good point.
I just think we're putting a lot of weight on, and now maybe some of this stuff gets leaked from the Flyers side, and they're like, yeah, we'll throw it out. But why wouldn't you leak that to someone in town? You know, the fact that this is a national thing, we've heard nothing from anyone on the Flyers, from, you know, the insular of the Flyers media.
No.
Charlie, or anyone else. Like,
I only know Charlie. He's the only one that counts.
I'm just like, the fact that it's Friedman and the fact that it's all, oh, it's the Flyers being dicks, like, that tells me who it's coming from.
That's a fair point.
That tells me who it's coming from. And maybe it's true, but like, of course, the he's not any good part isn't going to factor into that,
right,
because it's the dude trying to get him paid again. But this really just brings me to the question, what happens now with Johansen? Like, he's going to be in the organization unless they just tell him stay home. Like, what do they do? And he's going to not report. Like, he's got another $8 million to make next year.
Yeah. He wants that
he's
money.
got the rest of this year's money and all of next year's money.
Because that could be the last of it. So he's getting that money. Yeah.
He could have just been picked up for a $4 million cap hit by anyone for free on waivers and wasn't, which tells you he's at least going to get not $4 million. You know, he's going to get less than that. So he wants his 8.
Yeah.
If he doesn't report and his contract gets terminated, he gets nothing. He might be playing in Europe. Who the hell knows? He might be on a 2-way deal. So it's going to be the Flyers who are going to be like, yeah, just stay home. That's going to be very weird. But I guess if you don't want him in the locker room, it's the best case scenario for everyone.
I guess. And like, I mean, it's not my money. Comcast can spend their money however they want. I don't give a shit.
They're paying $50,000 for Torts is fine. Just here's a few mil for Ryan Johansen to sit home.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I don't think, I mean, they wouldn't buy him out. That would just be a waste.
I wonder if they're going to buy him out at the end of the year, though. Like another year at...
How much? Another year.
I forget how this works. I think it has the same... If they hold the contract, they can buy him out. And then it has the same cap repercussions for Nashville, who's retaining the 50% salary.
Okay.
So they'll have the final year of the deal bought out, and then they're paying him 2/3 of the salary for the next 2 years rather than retaining 50% for just next year. It's wild.
Math.
I've been asking questions about this on Twitter because I'm like, I know the basics here, but this shit is starting to get a little wild.
I need an adult.
But I just... This whole situation is so strange, and it's so funny to me that to get the first-round pick, it took, it's a dude that we already have history with. Like, it's a dude that the coach, it wasn't just some random guy.
Yeah.
It was someone who's, one, people know his name, and two, had a falling out of some kind with John Tortorella.
Right. And I honestly don't care because, again, I've said this 700 times now, they need to select a player in the first round of the draft. And they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And like next year doesn't matter. So even if we're paying Ryan Johansen all of his money next year, it doesn't matter. Next year's ain't it. So it doesn't matter. So if we have to eat a little bit of shit on Ryan Johansen to be able to select a player in the first round, which means worth a first round pick, then okay. Good job, Danny, in my opinion. Because here's the thing. We saw what other players brought back on deadline day.
Yeah.
And most of them weren't getting firsts.
No, the guys like Jake Gensel didn't go for a straight up first.
Right. Tanev didn't get a first. Like, Briere got a first. So he did what he had to do to get it. And I think that that's super important. And it's just like, this is just kind of like a pain in the ass, really.
What's happening now, like, whatever. But when I see... And it's funny because it goes back to the Cutter situation, and they think this one's at least in part informing that one. Like
Kevin Hayes did this, didn't he?
This Kevin Hayes' fingerprints
Hayes.
probably. But
again,
I will say, does it worry you at all? Like going back to the Hayes situation, the video of Torts screaming at Bobby Brink and Ula Lixell, now the Johansen stuff, the Cutter Gauthier stuff, all these things individually. Does it worry you about this team's reputation around the league down the line? Because we're looking at what they have and what they don't have. And I'm loving their depth. I'm loving what some of these guys are going to be, what they're going to develop into. They still don't have a star center. They still don't have a number one defenseman.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have to go out and buy those dudes, whether via free agency or trade. That means someone's going to want to have to come here and stay here. Worry at all?
Nah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I still, first of all, I don't think that it was ever the case that people didn't want to come here. I think that there was a period of time when Ron Hextall wasn't asking anyone to come here. So no one did.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was extremely overblown, in my opinion. First of all, every free agent is going to go where they get paid the most money. So the Flyers will have to ensure that if they want one of the really good ones, they're able to pay them the most money. Additionally, I feel like the Flyers organization is still like, if you're a hockey player and you're looking around at the places you want to play, like this has to be high on your list.
I just think
unless you're a little bitch like William who doesn't want to get looked at too much, and then you can't handle it, so you want to go play in Anaheim where no one's going to look at you.
Go sit and live in anonymity with Mike Trout in Anaheim.
Right, but like, do you want to go play in St. Louis? No. Do you want to play in Winnipeg? No. Like, Philadelphia is one of the best organizations. The history, like the swagger, like which is coming back thanks to this front office. Like, I don't buy that at all.
I just look at it like once you play for this team, you are now in the running to one day be the GM and president.
100%.
Like
you have a job for life.
You have a job for life if you want it.
Any
there
job.
is a short list of dudes who are qualified to be the GM and president of this team. Playing for the team is one of those qualifications. Yeah. Or being friends with someone who did it, like Chuck Fletcher was with Bob Clark.
Right.
You know, one of the few outside the organization hires, wasn't even really that. It was still in the family. If you're thinking big picture, you should really want to play here.
Yeah.
Patrick Sharp is the dude who got away. And you know what happened?
He's back.
He ain't away anymore.
No.
He's got a job.
And I mean, like, people want to pretend that Kevin Hayes is out there shit-talking the Flyers to anyone that will listen, but
they gave him $50 million.
I have a feeling that if you ask 99% of the players that played here, like, do you think I should go play for the Flyers? They'd be like, yeah, definitely. Fans are fucking great. Organization's awesome. Go play there.
Mike Richards is back in the alumni. All fences can be mended. Eric Lindros came back. Like, yes. Eric Lindros, after they tried to put him on a plane with a deflated lung, Eric Lindros is back in this organization. Yep. Like, I don't know. I think about this stuff. Like, I asked you the question. I also don't think it's that big a deal, but it might be something to just in the back of your mind. I don't think it's like right now this is a problem. I don't know if we can get anyone to come play here. I don't know, man. Owen Tippett just signed a pretty good contract with us.
Yeah.
Like, dudes seem to want to come here. Every was London Knights tweet about Bonk and Barkey has hashtag Let's Go Flyers in it. They both signed their ELCs. Like,
seems like they want to come here.
Seems like they want to come here. I think
Matvei Michkov is fucking chomping at the bit to get over here.
One would think, you know, just crossing my fingers. I really just hope they know something we don't know. And it's like, he's coming. But I have to put out of my mind that it's going to be anytime soon.
I still worry about Vladimir Putin holding a grudge against the Flyers for the 70s. It's in my head. It's never going to leave my head until he's here.
But wouldn't the ultimate victory be like, after 50 years, the person who delivered victory to us was a Russian?
Yeah. Infiltrate from the inside.
Yeah, like you've done with our government. I mean, like, never mind.
I watched that show, The Americans. This is how it works.
This is how it works, right?
You must come to the inside.
Yeah. I watched Oppenheimer the other day. It was all right. It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
I liked it.
No, I don't worry about this stuff, but I want to keep an eye on it. Like, how many of these things can happen that we still are like, fuck that?
I mean, you're not wrong, but I do think so long as the organization continues going in the right direction, which I believe it is, no reason to believe it's not. And like, once again, Keith Jones, the most likable man on the face of the planet, why wouldn't you want to come play for him? Like, I understand that people don't like Torts. Like, there's probably a short list of players who have said, like, I'm never going to play for John Tortorella again. But would we want those dudes? I don't know if we would. It seems a little weak to me.
It absolutely feels that way to me as well. Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of okay with the way Tortorella does things. Okay. I wish we could get Bobby Brink in the lineup every night.
I got a problem with that.
I wish
problem.
certain things were a different way. And I've said this, like, I'm a tear it down guy. I wouldn't be doing this. We're going to try to have it both ways. But I do understand what they're doing. And if John Tortorella is like, I am going to make men out of all these boys, and then when the time comes, we will be ready to win in the playoffs because that's what it takes to win in the playoffs.
Seems like it's working.
Like,
Can't argue.
It's hard to argue with the results that I thought this team stunk, and they could very well end up making the playoffs this year.
Yep.
So I don't know. We're going to get a lot of flack from the outside, and I think that's going to be a little bit of Philly against the world stuff. I'm hoping they use this as the catalyst. Listen, things have fallen off a little bit. They just lost 7-0. Really tough stretch of games. Yes, they have the Sharks tomorrow, but then like after that, it gets real bad.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they use this as a little bit of that fuel. Like, we'll show them.
We all silly like the mayor.